The process of formation and development. Ho Chi Minh thought did not form all at once, but rather went through a process of exploration, establishment, development, and refinement, closely tied to the rich revolutionary activity of Ho Chi Minh. The revolutionary activity of Ho Chi Minh can be divided into 5 periods. Period of forming patriotic and love of people ideas, before 1911. During this time, Ho Chi Minh developed ideas of patriotism, compassion for the people, a strong desire to defend the traditional spiritual values of the nation, and a longing to learn the progressive ideas of humanity. Period of seeking the way to save the country and liberate the nation, 1911 to 1920. In this period, Ho Chi Minh studied the lives of laborers. He investigated the French Revolution, the American Revolution, joined the French Socialist Party, examined the Russian October Revolution, studied and turned toward Leninism, attended the Tours Congress, sided with the Communist International, participated in founding the French Communist Party. This was a time of ideological transformation, from awakening nationalist ideas, advancing to an awakening of Marxism-Leninism, from being an anti-colonial fighter to becoming a Vietnamese communist. This was a fundamental ideological shift for Ho Chi Minh's view of national salvation. To save the country and liberate the nation, there is no path other than the proletarian revolutionary path. Period of basic formation of ideas about the Vietnamese Revolution, 1921 to 1930. During this era, Ho Chi Minh carried out vibrant and diverse practical and theoretical work. In France, 1921 to 1923, in the Soviet Union, 1923 to 1924, in China, 1924 to 1927, in Thailand, 1928 to 1929. During this time, his ideas about the Vietnamese Revolution became basically formed. Ho Chi Minh combined theoretical study and building theory with propaganda of ideas of national liberation, organizing mass mobilization, building revolutionary organizations, and preparing the founding of the Communist Party of Vietnam. His works and writings in this period express major viewpoints about the path of the Vietnamese Revolution. Examples include The Indictment of the French Colonial Regime, 1925, Revolutionary Path, Duong Cac Ment, 1927, and others. Period of trial, persistently maintaining principles, emphasizing ideas of independence, freedom, and basic national rights, 1930 to 1945. Based on the revolutionary path ideas basically formed, in the early 1930s, Ho Chi Minh persistently held onto his revolutionary viewpoints. He overcame the left tendencies, which were influencing the Communist International and the Central Executive Committee of the Communist Party of Vietnam, developed the strategy of the National Liberation Revolution, established the ideals of independence, freedom, leading eventually to the victory of the August Revolution in 1945 and the establishment of the Democratic Republic of Vietnam. Period of new development in the ideas of resistance and nation building, 1945 to 1969. In this period, Ho Chi Minh, together with the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Vietnam, led the Vietnamese people both to wage the war against French colonialism and to build the people's democratic regime, 1945 to 1954, culminating in the victory at Dien Bien Phu, to wage the resistance against the United States and liberate the nation, and to build socialism in the North. Prominent during this period were ideas such as combining resistance with nation building, conducting two different revolutionary strategies simultaneously, national liberation in the South and socialist revolution in the North, with the immediate shared goal of liberating the South and unifying the homeland. The idea of a people's war that is national, all people, comprehensive, long-lasting, primarily relying on one's own strength, building people's mastery, power, constructing a state of the people, by the people, for the people, building the Communist Party as a ruling party. Definition. Ho Chi Minh thought is defined by the Communist Party of Vietnam as Ho Chi Minh thought is a comprehensive and profound system of opinions on the fundamental issues of the Vietnamese Revolution. It is the result of the creative application and development of Marxism-Leninism in our country's specific conditions. It inherits and develops the fine traditional values of the nation. It absorbs the culture of humanity. This definition represents a new advance in the party's understanding of Ho Chi Minh thought, providing direction for scholars to dig deeper into Ho Chi Minh's ideas, especially for determining the content for core content on the national question. The national question is a broad and complex issue. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels did not delve deeply into the national question, because at that time in Western Europe, the issue had largely been resolved through bourgeois revolutions. Moreover, they had no opportunity to study the colonial national question in Asia, Africa, or Latin America in depth. In the imperialist stage, late 19th and early 20th centuries, national liberation revolutions became an integral part of the world proletarian revolution. This gave V.I. Lenin a practical basis to develop the colonial national question into a coherent theoretical system. Although Marx, Engels, and Lenin all presented fundamental viewpoints on the dialectical relationship between the national question and the class question, forming the theoretical and methodological foundation for the strategy and tactics of communist parties regarding national and colonial issues. Their analyses, rooted in European revolutionary practice, still focused primarily on the class question. From the early 20th century onward, the historical context required the creative application and development of Marxism-Leninism to fit the realities of colonial countries, including Vietnam. And it was Ho Chi Minh who fulfilled that need. On June 19, 1919, on behalf of the Association of Annamite Patriots, Ho Chi Minh presented to the Versailles Peace Conference the claims of the Annamite people, an 8-point petition calling on the Allied leaders to apply U.S. President Woodrow Wilson's ideals to the French colonial territories in Southeast Asia. He personally handed copies to the French president and to other delegations attending the conference. Ho Chi Minh's views on the national question were profoundly influenced by Marxist-Leninist theory, especially Lenin's theory on the national and colonial questions. The French newspaper Humanité, in its July 6-17, 1920 issues, published the full text of V.I. Lenin's preliminary draft thesis on the national and colonial questions on its front page. This work immediately captured Nguyen Ai Quoc's, Ho Chi Minh's, special attention. He read it repeatedly, and through the lens of genuine patriotism, he discovered therein the correct path to liberate the country from colonial domination. Later, Ho Chi Minh recalled, in that thesis, there were many difficult political terms. But by reading it over and over again, I finally grasped its essential meaning. Lenin's theses moved me deeply, enlightened and inspired me, gave me boundless confidence. I was so overjoyed I burst into tears. Sitting alone in my small room, I exclaimed as if addressing a great crowd, "O fellow countrymen who are suffering and oppressed, this is what we need. This is the path to our liberation." From that moment, Nguyen Ai Quoc, Ho Chi Minh, fully trusted Lenin and the Third International. Ho Chi Minh absorbed Marxist-Leninist theory on the national question and creatively applied it to the realities of colonial countries, including Vietnam. His thought on the national question is reflected in the following key points. Independence and freedom are the sacred and inviolable rights of all nations. In the Declaration of Independence, founding the Democratic Republic of Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh wrote, "All peoples on the earth are born equal. Every people has the right to live, to be happy, and to be free." The goal of achieving national independence, he emphasized, is to bring happiness and freedom to the people. Today we have built the Democratic Republic of Vietnam, he said, but if independence does not bring happiness and freedom to the people, then independence has no meaning. Patriotism and national spirit are immense driving forces of the country. Ho Chi Minh once remarked, "Our people have a deep and ardent love for the homeland. It is a precious tradition of ours." Throughout history, whenever the fatherland was invaded, that spirit became overwhelmingly strong. It formed an immense, mighty wave that swept over all dangers and difficulties and drowned all traitors and invaders. The harmonious combination of the national and class questions, national independence and socialism, patriotism, and internationalism. He wrote, "The peoples of the East can never lift their heads unless they unite with the world proletariat." The day hundreds of millions of enslaved and oppressed Asians awaken and sweep away the vile exploitation of a handful of greedy colonialists, that day they will form an enormous force, one capable of eliminating a major condition for the existence of capitalism and imperialism, and at the same time will aid their Western comrades in the cause of liberation. Ho Chi Minh firmly rejected the claim that he was a nationalist in the narrow sense. To say that in my youth I followed nationalism is not quite right. At that time, I only knew I loved my compatriots. I had no concept of any doctrine. When I went to Africa, I saw that colonial peoples there were also suffering exploitation and oppression like our Indochinese people. In Europe, I saw a few who lived in luxury, while the working masses were poor and miserable. I thought deeply. Then came the success of the Great October Revolution in Russia. Lenin founded the Communist International and issued his theses on the colonial revolution. Those events made me realize that the working people of Indochina, the colonial peoples, and the laborers of the world could only free themselves by uniting and making revolution. Therefore, I became a Marxist-Leninist. Only socialism and communism can liberate oppressed nations and working people worldwide from slavery. National independence associated with socialism thus became the central thesis and core content of Ho Chi Minh thought. Ho Chi Minh advocated the anti-imperialist strategy, arouse native nationalism in the name of the Communist International. When their nationalism triumphs, it will surely transform into internationalism. On the relationship between national and class liberation, he affirmed, both forms of liberation can only be the cause of communism and of the world revolution. Only communism can save humanity, bringing to all people, regardless of race or origin, freedom, equality, fraternity, solidarity, prosperity, work for all and by all, joy, peace, and happiness. On the National Liberation Revolution, the failure of patriotic movements against French colonialism in Vietnam at the end of the 19th and beginning of the 20th centuries proved that paths to liberation based on feudal or bourgeois ideologies could not meet the historical demand for national independence and freedom. Ho Chi Minh admired the patriotic spirit of earlier revolutionaries, but did not agree with their methods. He resolved to find a new path for national salvation. After encountering Lenin's theory, Ho Chi Minh found the correct path, the proletarian revolutionary path. From then on, he determined that the Vietnamese nation must follow this road. Ho Chi Minh's thought on the National Liberation Revolution is reflected in the following main points. The National Liberation Revolution must